Get started. Notice is hereby given of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield in the County of Union, New Jersey at 6:00 p.m. on the evening of Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 in Cafeteria B of Westfield High School, 550 Dorian Road, Westfield, New Jersey. The purpose of the meeting is to transact the regular business of the Board and to transact any other business to come properly before the Board. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board on Thursday, May 16th, 2024, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education, located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, the Star Ledger, the Westfield Library, Town Clerk of Westfield, Tap Into Westfield, and Patch.com, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Patty, may we have a roll call, please?
Rob Bonaccio.
Here.
Ken Diamond.
Here.
Brendan Galligan.
Here.
Charles Delinas.
Here.
Layla Morelli. Here. Sonal Patel. Kristen Sonic-Schmeltz. Julie Steinberg. Mary Wickens. Here.
Let's begin with a flag salute. Kent, would you mind leading? All right, we'll move directly to the section of the agenda, report by district administration. The first item under that is our board training. We have with us from the NJSBA two representatives, Patricia Reese and Jean Cleary. And I will turn it over to you both for the presentation.
Good evening, and thank you for having us tonight. I'm Patty Reese. I'm a field service rep. I currently handle Middlesex, Union, and Hudson counties. I've been with the association almost 9 years. Been field service rep for almost 3 years, I think. But before that, I was the county activities coordinator, so if you went to any Union County meetings, you would see me. Before I was working for New Jersey School Boards, I served on my local board for 12 years in Somerset County, and I did 1 term on my town council. And we're pleased to be here. Ethics training is important, not only for board members to learn, but it's also helpful to your public to know that board members are held accountable to the School Ethics Act. I have with me tonight Jean Cleary, and she'll introduce herself. The association has recognized that boards need more help and have more questions, and we've been in the process of hiring more field service reps so that we can be more available to boards and board members. And that's one of our new reps right now is Jean, so I'll let Jean introduce herself.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be with you all tonight. I am Jean Cleary. I live in Fanwood and served on the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education for 6 years. Worked somewhere else, and then went and actually worked as the Director of Operations in the school district. I am with New Jersey School Board since February, and have really appreciated working along the expertise of Patty. So we tonight are just going to go through, and I applaud you for having this training tonight, because it's important that the public also has a sense that you do hold yourselves accountable and are trained for these important issues. So we will just begin. I have a packet that I've left at each of your places. Both Patty and my cards are on there. And there's a form on there that at the end, after the training, we just ask you to read over, complete, and there's a section that you sign off on and just give to your business administrator or board secretary. Okay?
Hi, Jean. If I could just add that we've also included a copy of the presentation for the board members in case they didn't want to crane their neck around. So if you look in your folder, you have a copy of the presentation.
Thank you so much for that. And also, if you need to distribute it electronically, that's fine, just so that the hyperlinks that are included in there would be available to them. Okay? Okay. Oh, we're going to get used to that. Yes, I'm sorry. I was warned about the clicker, so I'm sorry. Almost go back. No, it's not. Could you, okay. I had the kind offer of assistance this evening. Thank you so much. I do need to start with the disclaimer that the content of this presentation is for your informational purposes, and New Jersey School Boards is not in a position to give you legal advice, especially when it comes to ethics decisions. They can be very specific to individual cases. So if you have specific questions that you're concerned about, it's always wise to go to your board attorney. But this is an overall look to provide the training that you would need. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you so much. So ethics and accountability. We know that public service, as it's been said, is a core value that can improve the lives and the world around you. And you've all agreed to be in that position, whether you're a staff member or a board member. As staff members and board members, you're school officials who have the honor of serving the public. But with that comes a very specific responsibility, and that is to hold yourselves accountable, recognizing that the School Ethics Act is a set of minimum standards, ethical standards, by which all school officials must abide. So the School Ethics Act is essential to the conduct of members of local boards of education and administrators to hold the respect and confidence of the people of the community. So board members and administrators must avoid not only conduct which is in violation of the public trust, but that which also would give a justifiable impression that trust is being violated. It's very important to maintain the trust. The School Ethics Act was established, and under it, it has the School Ethics Commission was formed, the development of prohibited acts, which are spelled out. We'll get to these things as we go through the slides. Mandatory training requirements for board members, disclosure statements that address personal and relative relationships, and financial disclosures as well. So the disclosure statements for new school officials must be completed within 30 days of hire, and returning school officials, administrators, must complete them by April 30th to file. So for board members, under the section where the mandated training was formed, what's required? By the first 90 days of becoming a board member, you must complete Governance 1. Governance 1 is covering basic knowledge and skills, discusses NJQSAC for understanding everything concerning HIB, the CSA, also known as the Superintendent Evaluation, the Open Public Meetings Act, and of course the Code of Ethics that you are expected to hold yourself to. By the end of year 2, you are required to take Governance 2, which is actually a review of finance and labor. By the end of year 3, Governance 3 is required that addresses student achievement. And then if you are reelected by the end of every year following your reelection or reappointment, you must complete Governance 4, which is important because it provides updated legal opinions for you. So New Jersey School Boards provides training in multiple ways, in person, live virtual, and self-paced online. Okay? Thank you. I'm sorry?
Did you go through these slides already?
Yeah, no, we didn't get to those yet. So the prohibited acts, so below is just an excerpt, and when you do get the electronic version, you can use the hyperlinks to get even more information about this. But it talks about recusing yourself if there's a benefit to you as a school official, and board members are included in that, of course, or your immediate family, due to the following. The business interest or professional activity would be in conflict, the use of your position to secure unwarranted privileges, financial involvement that may impair objectivity, service or employment that may prejudice the independent judgment, any gifts or favors or financial gain. Other considerations are that you cannot represent any other person or party other than the board and district in any matters before the board. And that's very important to understand. If you were supported by people in the community and you were elected, you now have to set aside and make sure that your focus is always on what's in front of you as a board member and for the benefit of the students of the district. Yes, and of course, just going back a moment, if you are conflicted and you have to recuse yourself, and we'll talk about this on another slide, you cannot have any discussion or vote on the topic that's in conflict. Thank you. So who enforces the act? The School Ethics Commission is the body that is charged with enforcing the act. It's made up of 9 members that the governor appoints for 3-year terms, a maximum of 5 from any one political party. So 5 of those 9 people will be non-school officials, 2 will be school board members, and 2 will be school administrators. So the School Ethics Commission, also known as SEC, has the following jurisdiction. They provide advisory opinions to staff, only school officials may request an advisory opinion prior to any act to get the advice to see whether what you're about to do, if you have concerns that it might be an ethics violation and you need some guidance. Those are at times made public when the commission has 6 people that vote to make it public, and they'll often do that when the decision found could be something that would apply to other districts and not just specific to the district before it, the issue before it. The SEC also addresses ethics complaints, and these are acts upon complaints filed by anyone, any member of the public, any board member or staff member. that is alleging a violation of the School Ethics Act. So on average, as previously reported by the Ethics Commission, they say that annually they look at about 85 ethics cases, complaints that are filed, and provide 35 advisory opinions. Thank you. So what happens if we violate the School Ethics Act? There are consequences. The penalties are imposed by the SEC makes the recommendation to the commissioner who imposes the penalty. They can range from reprimand, which is the rebuke by the commissioner that conduct violated the standards. That's the first level that would happen. The second can move into censure. Now, censure, to understand, is important that becomes a public issue, and it is publicized by the adoption of a resolution. So your name gets tied to that, and it's made public. Suspension, if it's going further down that path, you can be barred from engaging in an activity or matter for a designated period of time. And removal could mean, if you're a staff member, that your employment is terminated, or as a board member, you would be removed from the board. So who is accountable? The provisions apply to all school officials, and under the category of school officials, let's remember that we're talking about board members, some New Jersey School Board officers and staff, and administrators who are holding certificates to serve the school as administrator, principals, or business administrator, as well as others that are in a position to make decisions that could affect hiring or purchase. So there are also provisions that apply specifically to board members. The Code of Ethics lays out all of the things that are prohibited, and you have, of course, your requirement for mandatory training, which you're required to do by the date you're supposed to complete it. So,
this first. Did you read?
I didn't reorder, that was the one that was up there.
It's just out of order, the slides.
Okay.
So,
So-
do you want to go through that, or do you want to go through the code itself first?
Oh, no, it's fine.
It's, so yours is different order than mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, sorry about that.
Sorry.
So, we just want to make sure that we're doing the proper thing for you, I apologize. So, we can take a look at the cases, sorry. We could, I hit something that caused a problem here. No, there's something on the screen. Thank you.
It's different. It's a different code in it. It's a different presentation.
Okay, so there are cases related to the Code of Ethics, and when you have the electronic copy with the hyperlinks, you will be able to go in there, and it's important information. If you have a question, you can look at it and get a sense of where you stand if you have some questions. We have just 2 or 3 quick examples. On their own, a board member contacted vendors and districts for prices to go from MacBooks to Chromebooks. So what they found was that you can express disagreement about the steps that are happening through your vote at the board table, but going out and doing a private investigation actually was found to impact and place the board at risk, and that actually led to a censure, which again is a public resolution, right? So that's behavior that you need to be careful of. I believe the top one was a copy of what we previously saw. The next one, C8821, the board member used a board email to express personal views on mask mandates and encouraged action. That was sent to state legislatures and at the state legislature and members of the public, and that resulted in a reprimand. And finally, we have members, these are just examples, there are many cases to look at. Members sent email from district account to a known political entity misrepresenting the intent of a rally at the district. The content suggested political motivation and only invited one side. Using the board email will give the impression that the statements were made on behalf of the board, and that resulted in a reprimand. Conflict and recusal. So if you're a conflicted board member, there's a distinction between recusal and abstention. If you have a legal conflict of interest on a matter, it's very important to use the right term of recusal, which impacts the situation differently. Abstaining from a matter is not sufficient to memorialize that you did that. You need to do it through a recusal, which actually is in the record. It's very transparent for the public, and it makes it very clear that you knowingly are not being involved in the discussion and the vote, okay? When a board member needs to recuse due to a legal conflict of interest, the board counsel should advise on how that recusal may impact the quorum and the recording of votes. For hiring and personnel, the School Ethics Act addresses that you may not hire the relative of a board member or the chief school administrator. Now, there are times when family members may have worked at the district prior to those people. So if they already worked in the district, an administrator may not exercise any direct or indirect authority over the relative. A board member may not take part in employment matters concerning the superintendent or any supervisor in the chain of command between the relative and the superintendent. And a board member may not take part in the search, selection, or vote to hire a new superintendent. And after the superintendent is there post-hire, they may not participate in evaluations and contract discussions. So we'll look at the collective bargaining. The left column lists the relationship to the board member. So if your spouse, dependent child, or relative is a current member of a statewide public teachers union and works in the district, you may not participate in negotiations or vote to ratify the contract. If you yourself, your spouse, or a dependent child works out of district, you may not participate in the negotiations, but you may vote to ratify the contract after the memorandum of agreement, salary guides, total compensation package are all established. And finally, if you have a child, an independent child who's working, or a relative out of the district, they may participate in negotiations and to ratify the contract, barring any other conflict that they may have. It's always wise to get the advice of counsel if there's any question about any of those. So, social media. As a general rule, you don't give up your right to have social media, but there are very specific things that you want to look for. As we said in the earlier slide, right, it's not just conduct that can be a violation, it's also leaving the public with the impression that a violation has occurred because it causes the lack of trust. So specifically on social media, the Commission's analysis is guided by whether a reasonable member of the public could believe that you are speaking on behalf of the board in your official capacity and duties. So you want to be very careful about that and just recognize that appearance matters, and you can go on and read that afterwards. So the suggested disclaimer, which the SEC recommends that you have, is to really, if you really feel the need to comment on something on social media, to use a disclaimer which says the following: the following statements are made in my capacity as a private citizen and not in my capacity as a board member. And the statements are also not representative of the board or its individual members and solely represent my own personal opinions. However, if we could go to the next slide, thanks. If you use the disclaimer, it's not a get out of jail free card. It's really content that matters, okay? So yes, it's better practice to use a disclaimer, but the content of what you put on social media will be what's reviewed and could be found to be in a violation. If a reasonable member of the public could perceive that you're speaking in the official capacity, that's always going to be difficult, and it could actually make the disclaimer null and void. If you don't use a disclaimer, it doesn't automatically mean that you're in violation, but you are in dangerous territory perhaps. And you are not required to use the disclaimer word for word that was provided to you, but remember that it is the one that the School Ethics Commission recommends. So you might want to use that as a base. So for social media, the board member asked if, as a private citizen, it would violate the act if they answered operational questions about the district on a Facebook page, a Q&A between parents and the board. And interestingly, the School Ethics Commission's response is that you don't abdicate your right to the freedom of speech. However, board members are public officials, and you have to remember that in the community, you come from this community. But people, you may just feel like the same person before you are sitting in these seats, but the community sees you as board members, and they see that you in that role, whether you're sitting at this table or out in the community. So you want to be clear about that. You must exercise precautions to avoid violating the act. Your comments must be made at the time and or place, other than if they're made at the time or place outside of a board meeting, that they don't appear to be written on behalf of the board. You never want to say, well, as a board member, I think. You want to steer clear of that. The board is you, and you hold your authority by the state when you are sitting at a properly noticed meeting such as this with a quorum of the board, right? And the community is aware of your status, so be very careful that you're not leaving anyone with the impression that when you're out and about and speaking on social media or even in the community that you're speaking beyond yourself as a citizen. So New Jersey school boards developed a list, recommends that you develop a list with your board of anyone that has conflicts and review it regularly so that when issues are before you, you'll be very well versed in who may need to recuse themselves. Consult always with your board attorney on any ethics issues and identify your members if you're not sure. And we recommend that you regularly check school board notes, which goes out to all board members, because we do release any new advisory opinions that come out, and very often what we see is that something may be happening in another district and it may be similar to something you find yourself dealing with in your district. So the ethics reminder in closing is that board members may not deliberately disregard and ignore the ethical standards that they are required by law to uphold and enforce. And when board members do so, it not only threatens the integrity of the entire board, it's also unnecessarily compromising the district personnel, and it subverts the very purpose for which board members are elected, which is a very important purpose. It is to serve the needs of the school district and the students. So you really need to always keep that first and foremost. Now on the page, if you can go to the next slide, I think we have resources. Again, when that comes out to you electronically, those hyperlinks will work and bring you to additional information. On the paperwork that was provided, as I mentioned earlier, it actually lists out the school ethics, and you've now received your training, and you'd be signing off that these are things that you are made aware of. And at any time, if you have any questions, our cards are attached. Speak to your board attorney. We can always try to be of service to you. So if there are any questions, we're happy to review.
CJ, go ahead and start
Sure,
first.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that presentation. That was very interesting. I wanted to go quickly to social media policy, just to ask, just maybe a multi-step question, but, you know, it says here that, you know, statements, you know, that board members don't give up their First Amendment rights, but that statements made where a reasonable person could misrepresent that they are made in official capacity.
Right.
So, a multi-layered question. So first, I guess, is there an official definition of reasonable person, or is it more like you kind of know it when you see it?
No, and therein lies the problem, right? Is that who gets to determine that is if it's an ethics complaint is filed, you would be it would go in front of the commission. And what we do know is that these ethics complaints can be very specific to the situation of what was said, how it was said, the environment, and all of that. So it's hard to say. We would love to be able to say it's okay to do this and not do that, but there really is some gray area there.
No, that I appreciate that, and I'm a lawyer by training, so I know about the reasonable person standard. Might be, you know, might shift depending on the venue.
Yes.
But so the second part of my question is, given the fact that a statement is being made on social media, are there reasonable persons who could believe that any elected district official would be making an official pronouncement on their personal Facebook page or whatever, Twitter or whatever?
I'm
Like,
sorry, could you just restate that for me?
Sure.
Okay.
Are there school districts where pronouncements are made by personal social media? And if not, which I assume there are not, how would a person reasonably believe that a message sent by virtue of social media of any kind or personal email, let's put aside official email for a moment, where is the reasonability in that? What's like give me an example of a case that you might have heard or something like that where there's legitimate confusion that anyone would think that is, you know, an official pronouncement would be made on personal social media.
Sure. So,
Yeah, walk me through
So Patty may want to, do you want to jump in there? Yeah.
The reasonable person explanation is something that if you go on any of these cases and follow any of these links, if you go to the NJDOE website and the SEC, School Ethics Commission, you can read a whole bunch of, as many as you want. The reasonable person might perceive is a frequent ruling that the School Ethics Commission comes out. Some of the theories they put out there, right? People in your community know you're a board member, and even if you're posting on your personal site or you're using your personal email, they can think that because you are a board member, you have more information, so that your comments carry a different weight. And they could also think that because you're a board member, you may have taken the official announcement from the district website and just to get the word out. So that's how they come about, and sometimes that a reasonable person might think, because your community, pretty much your community knows who the board members are, and they attribute more weight to your comments than they would if you were not a board member.
So just an example that comes to mind is it could be something such as field conditions, and you know there's back and forth about field conditions conversations, and people, you know, might be in front of the board of some things that the district is going to focus on, and then you may weigh in on social media. But that could be interpreted by a reasonable person that you have information that they don't have access to because you're a board member, and that could reasonably lead someone to think that it's weighted in one direction or the other. So that could be an example where your intent may not be there to do that, but the intent isn't necessarily the first thing they're going to consider. It could really be the impact that it's had on the community. I hope that's a little clearer.
If I could add to that, CJ, as we've developed these social media policies over the years that I've been on the board, because we didn't have one when I started, one situation was brought up because it was occurring with several board members, is if people are constantly commenting on district-related things with additional facts or refuting a claim, pick the Westfield Facebook group, for instance, and then suddenly nobody responds from the board on a topic, people are going to take that as it must be true, even though just none of us have seen something yet. So if board members are constantly responding to things or providing information, and then suddenly we aren't, people infer conclusions from that lack of communication.
And no, that makes sense to me. I guess I don't know, I mean, I know plenty of people who are in public office, and I don't think I would perceive any statement they made on personal, again, discounting your official email, that might carry a lot of weight, but I don't know of any particular situation where a government official speaking on a private social media channel would look like an official pronouncement. I mean, I get maybe there's a misunderstanding here, but I don't know. I just seem to think that official dispositions of information by either the board or by Rob, would be the official disposition, and nothing else would really be allowable. I get the confusion, I suppose.
Right.
But,
and
yeah.
I fully understand what you're saying, because we
Yeah.
all got on the board hoping to either be in better communication with the community or,
Right.
pick your issue.
Right.
And we all want to help.
Right.
And articulating what we're doing is helping a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Because people don't see everything we do. So it's a hard thing for all of us to want to help or want to say something and know when we shouldn't.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. I just, go
And
ahead.
it is recommended, right, that the way you operate is there should be one voice from the board, which would come
Generally, the board
through the board president and the superintendent for the district.
Sure.
So it complicates things when there are other voices out there.
Well, and also, school board members, unlike other elected officials, only have authority when they're together at a notice meeting with a quorum present. Like if you're a municipal elected official for your council, or you have some authority away from the table. So people may not assume that they're speaking, but they could. Board members, by the code of ethics, cannot. You only have authority when you're seated at a properly noticed meeting with a quorum present. Once you're away from that and away from a meeting, you have no more authority than any other citizen. However, again, people in the community know you're a board member and may give more weight to your comments than they would otherwise if you were not a board member.
Leo, do you have a comment consistent with
Yeah.
this line, or, okay, go ahead.
I don't know if it's a comment or a question, but we're talking about posts that have to do with board business, correct?
No, I think it would be any posts.
Right, so that,
Yeah.
the district.
Well, that's the
what
example, but I
right.
think the following statements are made. If I speak out of turn with respect to board operations, would I not be in some kind of breach of any other kind of rule, like
Correct.
confidentiality or?
Right, so
right.
that's where I just wanted to jump in. I think when it pertains to, is that me?
Oh, that's me.
Oh. So I think that you make a good point, which is that if it's something that pertains to board business or operations of the district, posting on social media or via a school account, can be misleading because it pertains to the business at hand, so to speak. But if you're putting a personal opinion on a matter on social media, I guess the question that I thought you were asking was, is that necessarily considered a breach of ethics or a violation? And more so, I would think it's what is in the code of ethics, but that the conduct of membership, that we maintain the respect and confidence of the people, and that we avoid conduct that's in violation of their public trust, or which creates justifiable impression among the public that the trust is being violated. So that is more like, I think, where that comes in than the social media posts. Like, is there a breach of ethics on that end as opposed to the social media end? Because like you said, I could post, I don't like Poland Spring. Does that mean that it's a board opinion? Do I need to say it for every opinion, or is it just something that has to do with board business? Am I making sense?
No, absolutely. Well, and I mean, there's, inference too. I do like Poland Spring, but let's just say I don't. But there's a contract for the school to buy Poland
Yeah,
Spring
I was
versus
just gonna
Dasani, say, right? What's the, where's the line? And in particular, because it's public, right? Everybody knows what my status is versus someone else's status. I don't have any authority. I have no authority vested in me. I know there's maybe the impression of it, maybe. I don't think I could convince anybody about buying food wholesale, but I have no official authority vested in me, and I don't have any official title or capacity, and I'm not using a school site, so that I'll set that aside. But beyond that, again, everybody's taking civics, right? Everybody knows we're a deliberative body, right? Like, it's not that, I don't think it's that much of a leap to say they know we're a deliberative body. Like you said, you have to be in a quorum to have authority. Like, 3 of us can't get together and make a decision. So
But if I may just say, though,
Sure.
that's absolutely correct, right?
Yeah.
But it also talks about not giving even the impression. So the public may not know the rules about what forms a quorum and the fact that you only conduct business when you're seated at a properly noticed meeting, and the public is
But
not.
it's, yeah, no, that's fair.
Right, so that's where that reasonable,
Yeah.
of a reasonable member of
And
the
I think
public.
But
that's,
it's
and I think
civics.
that's where that perception is.
Yes.
That's more, I think, what the
I just
issue
stand by,
is.
though, in addition to the civics concept, is I do not get my information on official positions, maybe barring one particular politician, but other than him, we don't get our official stance on anything from social media ever, right? I don't wait to see the chief of police's report from his Hotmail account, right? You get an official notice, and that's that. So
I would say, as I was saying
Yeah.
earlier in the presentation, that the cases that are found to be violations can be incredibly specific.
Sure.
So it's really hard for us to come in, because really we would love to be able to give you a checklist of if you do this, you're okay, and if you don't do that, you're okay. But it really is, this is really to think broadly about it, so that you're in a position to understand that these are, and on that paperwork, it lists out, all of the different parts of the ethics code, of ethics for you. And if you have any doubt at all, right, you have your board attorney available to you to just say, like, what do you think about this? And also the hyperlinks could be very helpful to just see what advisory opinions have come out, and also what other cases have come out.
Well, and I'll just leave off and let other people ask questions, but I'll say I do appreciate that that's the rule, and I accept that. So I don't mean to put you on the spot either. I think you answered the questions really well. I just don't know that I completely agree from a common sense perspective that it's a real standard of any kind.
I'm not
But-
actually required to get
no,
you to agree
No,
with
that's
me
okay.
just
No,
because of the material.
I know, and I acknowledge it. That's why I'm asking for the basis of it.
Yes.
But I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And the School Ethics Commission doesn't go out to seek cases. It all comes down to somebody has to, for an ethics complaint, somebody has to file it. They're not, they don't come out and say, proofread all the different Facebook postings on every district. No, somebody would have to file a complaint.
No, absolutely. So they're savvy enough to wend their way through your complaint process and to put a complaint together and get assistance in doing so, but they're not savvy enough to realize I have no authority? I mean, that's just kind of silly.
CJ, about 85%,
But I'm really-
about 85% of complaints are dismissed outright
Well,
because they
fair
don't meet
enough.
any standard.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I want to make sure we get to Kristen's questions.
I just want to know if you can review the difference between recuse and abstain and give concrete examples of when you might recuse yourself versus abstain.
So the recusal, and Patty, I'm just going to say this, and you probably have more experience to share, but the recusal process is actually a more formal step to take, where you recognize that you have a legal conflict, and so you're really putting it out there that I have a legal conflict, I'm not discussing this, I'm just sitting quietly, I'm not voting on it. Abstention could be for a variety of reasons that aren't necessarily legal. You might feel that you need to abstain because you have not you're not up to date on that topic, you weren't available, you missed a meeting, and so you're asking for a vote, and you don't feel it's proper to vote at that time. So I think that specifically, but
And it changes the way the vote is tallied.
Yes.
So if you're, and if you feel you have a legal conflict, if you're not sure, check with your board attorney. But if you feel you have a legal conflict, it's better to walk away from the table and just not be part of the discussion and do not take a vote. But and an abstention, as Jean said, could be for a variety of reasons. Minimally, you need more information or whatever that might be. But the vote tally, if it was an abstention, say you have 9 board members, so it would be, let's say 5 voted yes, 4 voted no, and 1 voted abstain. So that would be 5-4-1 vote. No, 5-3-1, I'm sorry. I have to count better. And an abstention, in a recusal, it would just be 5-3. The one, but that signifies that it's a legal, you feel like you have a legal conflict.
and it's really designed so that the public is, the public is informed that you followed that process to make it very clear that that's why you're taking that action.
Any other questions from the board? I'll ask one quick one, just because I think it's important. We're often told, and this straddles the ethics versus what's the role of board members, aspect of things. We're often told that a board member's role, sort of like your quick reference guide, is not to run the district, but to make sure the district is well run.
Absolutely.
So if there's, I just, if you could just comment on that and just maybe how that plays into some of the ethics rules that we're talking about.
Yes, thank you so much. That's actually very much what you need to understand as board members. You have a very, very important role to make sure that the district is well run. You place a superintendent when that time comes, and then you evaluate the superintendent, and through that evaluation process, you're ensuring that you have the right person who's acting in the best interest of the district and the students, and that's your authority, where your authority rests. But you select your superintendent to run the district on a day-to-day basis. And there's a relationship there where, again, just as with the public, you want to maintain a trust, you need to be a well-run board and a well-run district. You need to have the trust to allow the superintendent to be running the district on a daily basis, keeping you informed. And then, of course, as board members, you need to vote on the things that you need to vote on to support the plans of the district, right? So it's an important relationship to nurture and grow and to understand. And if you have questions about, at that moment, on that topic, what your role is, we're happy to provide some training on roles and responsibilities and how best to work as a group together in communication and a number of other topics.
And there is a way for a board to hold the superintendent accountable. They run the day-to-day options. You make sure that it's well, as was said, you hold your superintendent accountable through the superintendent evaluation process and their progress towards the agreed upon district goals. So it doesn't say, it doesn't mean that you can't hold your administration accountable. You absolutely can. But it's not a board member's job to go into the school and say, we should buy this desk set and not that one. Which is what you hire your superintendent, who is your educational and district professional.
And along those lines, if I might just say this, that as board members, you don't give up your right, especially if your parents have children in the district, to do the things that parents do, to go into the school and be a parent to your child. But you do need to, now that you are board members, consider that you're not just a member of the public either. So if you want to visit a school, it's inappropriate to just show up and make plans. Those plans should really run through the superintendent, who's in charge of staff and how the district is operating, and time can sometimes be set aside decide to do those things, but you have to remember that the staff needs to be clear that you are a board member and you could inadvertently place staff members in a school at a disadvantage because they believe that you have a higher authority and they're conflicted about doing what they're supposed to do during the day when a board member is present. So those are all kinds of operational things that the board needs to understand to work well with the leadership of the district.
And if you have a student, a child that's a student, again, you don't lose the right to be that parent, and you don't lose the right to go in and do whatever, have a conference with the teacher about your child. You never lose that right because, your parents first. You just don't show up at it's advised not to show up at buildings without such a reason.
And we also know that board members are very often the most involved people in the community and in the schools. So if you are, that's totally fine. You might have been running a committee for a really long time, but there are certain established protocols that you should follow, not to take the leadership role of that committee any longer, not to collect monies or have anything to do with the handling of the finances for a committee that you might have served on, from before the time you were a board member. So you just need to always have that in the foremost part of your mind about not only what's proper, but also how it could be interpreted by the public and the staff members as well, going into the buildings.
Thanks very much. Any other questions? All right, with that, I'd like to thank you both for the time. It was very informative. Really do appreciate you coming out. Again, as mentioned, if any board members do have questions, our district reps are available to fill in and help out. Thank you so much for putting everything together for us.
Thank you so much for your attention, and your community should be very happy to see that you've undergone the training and are taking it as seriously as you are. So I wish you a really great end of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a short break. We have some announcements to come up, some awards to give out, but we'll reconvene that at 7. We'll finish off the superintendent's report and move right into those awards. So we'll reconvene at 7. Thank you. we're going to get started again, please. All right, we are back in session. We're going to, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Gonzalez, have him finish his report, and then we will move on to our announcements and awards.
So this evening, I just wanted to give a brief update on the status of our referendum planning for next school year. Last night, we convened together our Community Advisory Committee, which comprised of approximately 60-plus members of our school community, consisting of individuals who have children in the district, some who are just members of the community, as well as members of our administrative and educational and support staff. All of those attendees took part in a meeting that lasted about 2 hours in duration and really set the stage for deliberation and conversation about the possibilities that await us next year. The evening began with setting the stage through welcome and introductions and an overview of the role and responsibilities of the committees who are assembled, and really to be able to serve as a sounding board for the administration and the Board of Education in order to help us determine the priorities and the direction of the school district as we formulate our referendum for next year. We also had the opportunity to hear from our school board architect, Mike Beery from FKA Architects, as he presented an overview of his facility needs analysis that was conducted across all of our school facilities, all of our school buildings, the district central office, as well as our facilities. And through that needs analysis, he was able to provide an update regarding what he believed are some of the essential areas of need for improvement, need for renovation, and opportunities for expansion. As we can all imagine, there are many opportunities when we look around the school district to possibly improve the way our schools look, the way our schools operate, and even for things as large and monumental as moving from a half-day program to a full-day kindergarten program involves a lot of considerations and a lot of moving parts. So in order to engage in such thoughtful deliberation and discussion, we wanted to make sure that all the members of the advisory committee had that base level knowledge. After the presentation, we then broke the 60-member group out into smaller groups, 9 groups specifically, so that each of those smaller groups had the chance to engage with one another in topics that ranged from what was their initial reaction, what are their thoughts about the proposals as they've been presented thus far, what are we missing? What have we hit the mark on, and what have we missed the mark on, in order for us to really develop a proposal that we could present to the community for their consideration next April. I think it's important to note two important factors that came out last night. One is that there's a very big difference between a bond referendum and a general operating budget. And every year, over the past several years, the last 2 years in particular, we have presented the annual operating budget in either full form or partial form to the community for them to be able to approve the annual operating budget for the coming year. So through the tax levy that is voted on, that provides the resources that we need in order to operate our schools on an annual basis. So that means paying the bills, paying the utilities, paying salaries, putting forth the resources necessary to maintain our buildings as well as our programs and operations. But when we start to think about the larger scale improvements, the capital improvements, we start to think of something similar to a mortgage for or a home equity loan for our house, where we need to invest in a much larger amount of money that would not be able to be supported in just a single year's operating budget. So when we look at the expansion and renovation needs of our schools, we are now looking at something that exceeds the annual operating budget and would require a larger commitment by the community through the vote of a bond issuance. And that would be over the course, that repayment would be annually over the course of up to typically 30 years, 25 to 30 years. So as a result, next year, when we propose our referendum for consideration by the taxpayers, what you will see will be an agreement by the administration and the Board of Education about what we would like to present for the consideration of the board. We are not making those decisions about the final determination. That's where the community comes in. So the feedback that we get from the advisory committee is helping to inform our proposal. Once that proposal is finalized, then it returns back to the community at large and the taxpayers and voters within the community in order to vote on whether or not that proposal actually gets approved. The second thing to consider as we move forward is that the work of the school district and the work of the referendum committee is trying to align our goals and objectives with one another. And what that means is that we continue to operate an excellent school district. Our teams, our ensembles, our departments and classrooms throughout the school district are amazing. Our teachers, our coaches, our advisors, our administrators, our support staff all do amazing things for students each and every day, as evidenced by the students' achievements both in the classroom, on the fields, and on the stages and performance arenas everywhere. But what we're asking is for support in being able to help us even more, in order to provide our schools the facilities that are necessary to not only continue our work, but build upon our work in up-to-date facilities and modernized facilities that will match the modern educational experience that we are seeking to provide. So with all of that, there's a lot of moving parts here. So as I said before, we are going to be providing you with updates at each board meeting and through our community newsletters and other publications. We are in the process of building out a referendum portal that will contain much of this information as well. But we certainly invite feedback from all of you over the course of the next year to ask us questions, whether it be here at the podium or via email, so that we could hear your voices and help you understand what our needs are, but also so that we could better understand your needs, hopes, and dreams for our school district. So with that, I will conclude my referendum committee update and move on to the second part of my presentation, related to the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, HIB grades that have been finalized for the 22-23 school year. I know we're in the 23-24 school year, but unfortunately through the Department of Education life cycle, we always go through a process where we are 1 year behind in this regards. Our schools have been dedicated to following the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights since its inception in 2011. And every year we've been making great strides in handling HIB incidents. This progress has helped us improve the overall atmosphere and culture in our schools, but there's always room for improvement. We constantly reflect on and refine our practices and protocols to make things better for everyone. Since I joined the district 3 years ago, we've made big improvements by introducing an electronic management system, where this system helps us to ensure that investigations are thorough, efficient, and comply with the law. Our school administrators and counselors, who also serve as anti-bullying specialists, are regularly involved in professional development, and this ongoing training helps them stay updated on the latest requirements and investigative techniques. The Commissioner's Program for determining grades under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights requires that schools self-assess how well they comply with the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. And each school can score up to 78 points based upon various indicators. New for this year, the HIB grade report includes information on the use of preliminary determinations for HIB reports. And this optional step under the law is one that we've executed and implemented in this district, allows principals to determine if an incident doesn't meet the definition of HIB and doesn't need to be investigated further. The report shows how many times this was done, with a 0 as an example, indicating that all allegations were fully investigated as HIB. If you would like, you could go on our school's you could find our school's HIB grades by visiting the HIB resources section on our district or each of our schools' website. There you could view the most recent grades and data from previous years, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your school's principal for more information. The information that you'll find on the grades, you'll note, is exactly what we presented earlier in the fall. But as a part of the process, our submission to the Department of Education is then reviewed over the last several months, which is why you see the final outcome at the end of the year rather than concurrently when we submitted earlier. So once again, I thank you all for your time and attention, and encourage you to take a look at those anti-bullying grades on each of our schools' website, and reach out to our school principals and counselors to see what we are doing in our schools, not just to comply with the law, but also to improve the climate and culture so that our students feel safe and secure in our buildings. That concludes my report this evening.
Any questions from board members? Excellent. Well, I want to, just following up on the referendum committee, I want to thank Julie, Mary, and Sonal. They joined the discussion yesterday. We will, at the next 2 sessions, have board members available at all of those sessions to make sure that we are all hearing the feedback from the public on the referendum and the things that we're looking to do. And I want to thank the members of the public who volunteered. I think it's some 60 people. So 60 folks from the community, came out and spent some time, sharing their thoughts and opinions with us. If anyone else has thoughts and opinions, obviously the board we each have emails. Feel free to reach out to any one of us. We're happy to collect as much information and feedback as possible on this process. Now to the fun stuff. We have today the recognition of a number of teachers and staff members, both from the Optimist Club for intermediate schools and the Westfield High School Awards of Excellence. So we're going to start with the Optimist Clubs group. We'll start, I guess, with Dr. Gonzalez will give an introduction for the Optimist Club groups, and then we'll read off a resolution. We'll invite the principals up to say a few words, and then obviously the recipients will get some. Let me preface this by saying as Dr. Gonzalez said, our teachers and our staff are our district's biggest asset. They do a fantastic job, and as you see these folks come up and accept their awards, they are just a prime example of that. Julie and I were interviewed not too long ago by someone from the High-Eye, convenient that there's an advisor here today, and we're asked, why do we do this? Why, at least I was asked, why do I serve on the board? And I always said, well, it's about our students. Well, that's wonderful for us, and I think we all agree that that's why we're here, but it is quite another thing to dedicate an entire career to your students, to dedicate your entire career to our kids, right? There is no time clock that you punch or anything like that. These are teachers and staff members who think about our students all the time. So this is a great honor. It's probably never enough for all the time that they put in, and I want you all to know from staff and certainly to the recipients that the board certainly recognizes that. So with that, let's start with our first intermediate school outstanding teacher of the year. That's Ryan Boleen, math teacher from Edison.
So hold on, Ryan. I just have a few remarks to get us started. So we had planned to begin with the recipients of 2 awards generously sponsored by the Rotary Club of Westfield. For the past 31 years, the Rotary Club has recognized a teacher at the elementary level with the Charles Philhauer Fellowship Award, and last year the Rotary Club introduced the Wayman Steengraff Award to honor any non-certificated staff member across the district. This year, McKinley Grade 4 teacher Brannis Moore is the Philhauer Fellow, and Westfield High School paraprofessional Maria Martinez is the Steengraff Fellow. Both are unable to attend tonight due to previous commitments, but we do look forward to honoring them at the June 11th Board of Education meeting. Likewise, now we move on to the last 2 decades when the Optimist Club of Westfield has given deserving credit to our intermediate school teachers. Having established the Intermediate School Outstanding Teacher Award in 1998, each year, colleagues, parents, students, and members of the community are invited to nominate an intermediate school teacher. A committee of Optimist Club members and the 2 intermediate school principals reviews the nominations and ultimately selects 1 educator from Edison and 1 from Roosevelt. This year's recipients of the Optimist Club Intermediate School Outstanding Teacher Award are Edison mathematics teacher Ryan Boleen and Roosevelt social studies teacher Marissa Keneally. First, I'll ask board president Rob Bonaccio to read a resolution for Mr. Boleen before inviting Edison Principal Lenova Shaw to say a few words, followed by Mr. Boleen. We'll all gather on the stage behind me for a group photograph. And if any members of the Optimist Club are in attendance tonight, I invite you up to join the group photo when the time comes.
So now, a resolution by the Board of Education of Westfield, New Jersey, to Ryan Boleen. Whereas the Optimist Club of Westfield, a supporter of schools and children in the community for many years, has established an annual award for outstanding teaching in the intermediate schools. And whereas this award is a fitting tribute to the importance of teaching in the intermediate grades and the nobility of the teaching profession. And whereas Ryan Boleen, a mathematics teacher at Edison Intermediate School, has been awarded the 26th Annual Intermediate School Outstanding Teacher Award for outstanding teaching, interest in children, and continued pursuit of professional growth. And whereas the nominations received on behalf of Ryan Boleen describe him as an exemplary educator who embodies the qualities of compassion, dedication, organization, and problem-solving acumen, and whose commitment to the well-being and development of his students is truly commendable. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Education publicly expresses appreciation to the Optimist Club of Westfield for establishing this award, and be it further resolved that this Board of Education sincerely congratulates Ryan Boleen, representing Edison Intermediate School, for receiving the 2024 Intermediate School Outstanding Teacher Award, a significant honor and a notable accomplishment. And be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Ryan Boleen on May 21st, 2024, and that a copy of this formal resolution becomes a part of the permanent records of the Westfield, New Jersey Board of Education. So we'll invite Principal Shaw up.
Press the button.
Good idea. There we go. Thank you. Good evening. I don't like talking about myself, but I can talk about others. This is great. Ryan Boleen, Mr. Banana Man, scheduling guru, mathematician, student whisperer. Those are my descriptions of Ryan as I have come to know him. I joined Edison in 2021 and quickly got to know Ryan as the math teacher who somehow wins the annual Halloween costume contest dressed as the same banana every year. I didn't get it. After having observed his interactions with students, staff, and families, I gained a better understanding of why he is one of the students' favorite teachers. Nice, amazing, good teacher, effective, makes math fun, encouraging, the best. These are words of students describing Mr. Boleen. He breaks down complex concepts so that they are digestible for students. He interacts with them during recess. He recruits students to learn and participate in ultimate frisbee. He speaks with students, not at them. He gets children. As I'm still getting to know the depth of Ryan, I wanted to get feedback from some of his colleagues on their impression of him. These were some common words and phrases I encountered: impressive organizational skills, commitment to education, compassionate, dedicated, problem-solving acumen, contributions to our educational community extend far beyond the confines of the classroom, able to clearly see problems and work out palatable solutions to them. He goes above and beyond in his efforts to support and inspire his students, invests countless hours not only in preparing engaging and effective lessons, but also in enriching students' educational experience through extracurricular activities. He possesses the gift of explaining content for students. Ryan Boleen is the reason the intermediate STEAM trip is so successful. He ensures that the plans are connected to learning and hands-on experiences. With equity in mind, he started a fundraising initiative to make the trip more financially accessible to all interested students. He insisted on Roosevelt joining in on the STEAM trips by inviting them along, allowing them to see the benefits and the process of promoting it to students and families. Ryan is the epitome of the teacher who goes above and beyond without the need for accolades, making this award so fitting and refreshing. It is usually the ones who deserve the recognition the most who do not seek it out. Ryan does things for students because that is who he is. He does not look for or need the fanfare. I'm glad that the Optimist Club took the time to recognize and celebrate him, because the Westfield community needs to know how lucky the students are to have him. I could list many more things about how great of an asset Ryan is to the Edison community, but I think I've embarrassed him enough. Congratulations, Mr. Banana Man.
Awesome. So a few kids came up to me and they're just like, congratulations on winning the award again. And I'm like, that's not really possible and not true. And they're like, I voted for you last year and the year before. And I'm like, nope, that's the Halloween costume contest. But I treat that one very seriously as well. I don't know how it's won for 10 years. It's bothered Dr. Bolin for a very long time. He made a trophy for it, by the way. And I confiscated that trophy, and I just keep adding my name to it every year. That trophy never moved anywhere in the last 10 years. I thought that was kind of fun. But on another positive note, though, last week I got told I have to do a speech. I didn't really know that, just to let you know. So I was sitting in the mailroom, because we still have those things, and I saw a teacher who's like, congratulations, and they told me about the speech, and I'm like, well, how about that? And they were they're like, well, the students really appreciate you, and I'm like, thanks. And they, during student, state testing, they did a classic make a thank you note for their class while they had a few classes. And they're like, here, we have some for you. And they handed me 2. But then I also realized like how lucky I was to get 2 of those, but then also realized that that teacher then put 2 in a bunch of different mailboxes. And how lucky I am to have a great staff with us, that those 20 students like picked 10 different teachers in 6th grade, where they've only met like 9 of them. And that's really amazing to think that it's a whole contribution of the whole building. And it starts all the way from the top 2, Mrs. Shaw, so thank you, and Dr. Bolin for many years before that. But thanks for the award and for the Optimist Club as well. Thank you.
Okay, now Mr. Bernaccio will read again a resolution, and this one for Mrs. Keneally. Roosevelt Principal Brian Geckman will then come to the podium to make brief remarks, followed by remarks by Mrs. Keneally, and a group photograph. Again, members of the Optimist Club here tonight are invited to join us on the stage for the group photo. And once we've taken the Roosevelt photo, we invite Mr. Boleen and Mrs. Shaw to join us again on the stage for a photo of both of our Optimist Club award winners.
Resolution by the Board of Education of Westfield, New Jersey to Marissa Keneally. Whereas the Optimist Club of Westfield, a supporter of schools and children in the community for many years, has established an annual award for outstanding teaching in the intermediate schools. And whereas this award is a fitting tribute to the importance of teaching in the intermediate grades and the nobility of the teaching profession. And whereas Marissa Keneally, a social studies teacher at Roosevelt Intermediate School, has been awarded the 26th Annual Intermediate School Outstanding Teacher Award for outstanding teaching, interest in children, and continued pursuit of professional growth. And whereas the nominations received on behalf of Marissa Keneally describe her as a caring educator who has an endless breadth of knowledge on how to both teach and assess student learning, and who creates lessons that are interesting and engaging, and which keeps students stretching their abilities so that they are all growing. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Education publicly expresses appreciation to the Optimist Club of Westfield for establishing this award, and be it further resolved that this Board of Education sincerely congratulates Marissa Keneally, representing Roosevelt Intermediate School, for receiving the 2024 Intermediate School Outstanding Teacher Award, a significant honor and notable accomplishment. And be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Marissa Keneally on May 21st, 2024, and that a copy of this formal resolution becomes a part of the permanent records of the Westfield, New Jersey Board of Education. Yes. I'll invite Mr. Getman up to say a few words.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Dr. Gonzalez and the Board of Education for allowing me to speak on Ms. Keneally's behalf. I'd also like to thank the Optimist Club for once again recognizing the great work our teachers have done year after year at the intermediate level. The Roosevelt community is extremely lucky to have 8th grade social studies teacher Ms. Marissa Keneally. As the announcement was made during period 8, the loud applause she received from students and colleagues can be heard all throughout the school. Although Ms. Keneally started her career in Westfield in 2010, 2 years prior to me, we share a very special bond, as we both were born and raised in Union. I might be a year or 10 older than her, but we share many of the same teachers growing up. And as we reminisce about the great ones, we often use words like kind, compassionate, dedicated, and engaging. And years later, these are the same words I would describe Marissa. Meeting with the Optimist Club a few weeks back, the entire room agreed Marissa was the perfect choice. She had the trifecta: amazing letters from students, parents, and many colleagues. Always smiling, it seems like Marissa never has a bad day. When she's not teaching her class, you can always find her on the 3rd floor with her social studies colleague, planning the next lesson that will fully engage her students. There are so many lessons she has taught that truly stand out. From all of her efforts in the Interdisciplinary Holocaust Unit to piloting an amazing Model Congress Day, her students are always actively engaged. The passion in her voice, the enthusiasm she brings to class each day, and her love for U.S. history, as well as her ability to relate and gain the trust of her 8th graders year after year, are just a few things that come to mind. The warm and friendly environment she creates allows her students to feel comfortable taking educational risks. As a former social studies teacher myself, Marissa is a colleague I'd love to share a department or grade level with. She's a true team player, always willing to help her colleagues. And as administrator, Marissa is the teacher who I'm proud to have in my building. Her classes are always well organized, and she's never shy to ask for suggestions. And as a parent, there's a level of excitement when you see her name on your child's schedule. She creates a warm and caring atmosphere that allows all learners to thrive. Marissa, congratulations on a well-deserved award.
Hello, everyone. It's an immense honor to be here among the outstanding teachers and professionals here tonight as Roosevelt's Intermediate School's Teacher of the Year. I realize earning this recognition is not just a testament to my efforts, but a reflection of the collective dedication and support of our entire Westfield's community. I talk with my hands, sorry. Thank you to the board, the parents, the Optimist Club, our students, and our administration, past and present. At the core of it all, we are here tonight to celebrate the importance of education and the extreme value of our students. In preparation for my demo lesson and interview almost 15 years ago, I reviewed curriculum essential questions, New Jersey social studies teaching mandates, and the proper terminology for educational terms. This absolutely served me well and continues to. However, it was my interaction with the students that, as I was later told, set me apart. You see, teaching middle school is unique. Do you remember your lessons and experiences of your middle school years? Did you realize that your middle school teachers were teaching you skills that were never written in any curriculum? In middle school, we teach the whole child during a pivotal chapter of their life where everything is changing. As they are growing into the adults that they will become, we get to teach them how to learn. And if we're good at it, we teach them how to love learning. Being a social studies teacher over the last 14 years, I've traveled through American history with my students, teaching them the responsibilities and privileges of living in our democratic nation. We've spoken to our mayor, presented ideas for legislation, and studied our Constitution and active citizenship. But as I learned very early on, having an impact on middle school students doesn't just take place in the classroom. And it doesn't just involve teaching the curriculum. Embracing this, I've co-advised student council for almost a decade. I've played basketball, football, and volleyball against underrated and really tall middle schoolers. I've worn ridiculous costumes, cheered from the sidelines for games, organized hair donations for wigs, celebrated the fine arts and danced on stage, and somehow convinced my coworkers to get pied in the face in the name of raising money for charity. By role modeling engagement in these activities, I hope that I have instilled a desire for getting involved, being inclusive, and learning while being part of a welcoming community. The standard of excellence in this profession that I strive to reach daily is a result of the impact of the teachers and family that raised me and the role models I've had the privilege of emulating. Thank you to my work family, who I continue to learn from daily, my parents for their unwavering support and belief in me, and to my husband and 3 littles who are at home right now, hopefully in bed. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna turn our attention to the Westfield High School Awards of Excellence, a time-honored tradition in the high school community. The Robert and Linda Foose Memorial Award, named for a former principal and teacher, recognizes an educator who is a role model and an inspiration to the Westfield High School community. The Jeffrey Family Above and Beyond Award goes to a teacher who has made a difference in the life of a student. The Parent-Teacher-Student Organization Teacher of the Year Award honors a teacher who is encouraging, motivating, and a good role model. The Distinguished Teacher of the Year Award was established to recognize a teacher who, through excellence in teaching and a demonstrated commitment to intellectual pursuits, serves as a model and an inspiration to the Westfield High School community. I invite the Westfield High School Assistant Principal, Jim DeSarno, up to the podium to say a few words about this year's recipients. After Mr. DeSarno speaks, Mr. Bonaccio will read a resolution for each award recipient in the following order before inviting them to give brief remarks at the podium. John Cheddar, English teacher, Robert and Linda Foose Memorial Award. Gregory Bowers, social studies teacher, Jeffrey Family Above and Beyond Award. Sean McDonald, English journalism teacher, PTSO Teacher of the Year Award. And then Craig Stanton, music teacher and orchestra director, Distinguished Teacher of the Year. Mr. DeSarno?
Good evening, and thank you. We are very thankful to have such amazing teachers at Westfield High School. Each year, Westfield High School students have an opportunity to nominate teachers and members of our school community for awards, and this year we had an overwhelming response. I am honored to announce this year's recipients. The Robert and Linda Foose Memorial Award for Excellence in Education. A student nomination highlighted that this teacher is by far the best teacher I've ever had. He shows up every day, ready to give 100%, and constantly pushes us to be the best scholars we can be. He is truly dedicated to our educational growth. The 2024 Foose Memorial Award for Excellence in Education goes to English teacher and wrestling coach, Mr. John Cheddar. The Jeffrey Family Above and Beyond Award. A student nomination shared that this teacher is a kind, generous, and selfless human being. Not only did he make the classroom welcoming and fun, but he made me feel like I had a safe place to go if I needed to talk. The 2024 Above and Beyond Award goes to social studies teacher, Mr. Greg Bowers. The 36th Annual Westfield High School PTSO Outstanding Teacher of the Year Award is nominated by both parents and students. Some words the PTSO received about this recipient are, this teacher has a unique ability to make every student feel like her only student. She manages countless classes, yet when you speak to her, she focuses all of her attention on addressing your comments and helping in any way she can. The 2024 Westfield High School PTSO Outstanding Teacher of the Year Award goes to English and journalism teacher, Ms. Sean McDonald. The Distinguished Teacher of the Year Award, this teacher was described as, he has been an outstanding influence and has done a tremendous job as my teacher. He carefully meets the needs and character of a high-level teacher. He provides a positive and highly creative atmosphere in the classroom. The 2024 Distinguished Teacher of the Year goes to WHS Orchestra and Writing and Arranging teacher, Mr. Craig Stanton. Congratulations to all the recipients, such as serving teachers. Thank you.
Excellent. So we'll start with the resolutions. I'll read the resolution for each teacher, invite the teacher up to speak, and then we'll go to the next resolution. We'll do a group photo right after. So we will start with the coach. Resolution by the Board of Education of Westfield, New Jersey to John Cheddar. Whereas the Robert and Linda Foose Memorial Award has been established to annually recognize a member of the Westfield High School faculty who, through both excellent in teaching in the classroom and a demonstrated commitment to intellectual pursuits beyond the classroom, is a role model and an inspiration to the Westfield High School community. And whereas this award, whose namesakes were a former principal of Westfield High School and a former teacher, has been conferred upon language arts teacher John Cheddar. And whereas John Cheddar is recognized as an educator who is truly dedicated to the educational growth of his students and who shows up every day ready to give 100% and to push his students to be the best scholars they can be. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Education publicly congratulates John Cheddar for receiving the 2024 Robert and Linda Foose Memorial Award a significant honor and notable accomplishment, and be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to John Cheddar on May 21st, 2024, and that a copy of this formal resolution becomes a part of the permanent records of the Westfield, New Jersey Board of Education. Would you like to come up and say a few words?
I'd like to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Gonzalez, Mr. Sarno, Ms. Riley, Coach Kurz, Coach Barber, Coach McDonald, Casey Eister, the Westfield Wrestling family, as well as the entire Westfield Public School community. There's no shortage of impressive and deserving educators at Westfield High School, so while being recognized by a panel of students and colleagues is certainly a great honor, I'm also well aware that it is likely just my turn. And after 22 years, you might say that I'm very patient. But I've come to a point in my career where I'm not only able to be present for my students and focused on the direction of our school's future, but now perhaps more than ever, a bit more reflective and appreciative of our school's past. So I'd like to take this opportunity to pay it backwards, so to speak. When I joined the Westfield High School English Department in September of 2002, I was leaving a place that I loved in search of new challenges. It did not take very long to see that I made a very wise decision. Westfield was a bustling intellectual community that offered autonomy to its students and staff and encouraged us to follow our curiosities and passions in pursuit of meaning. It felt more like a college campus than it did a high school. I immediately grew as an educator under the mentorship of great educational leaders like Dr. Pettix, Paula Roy, Bob Ayer, Bev Geddes, Karen Goller, and Ron Barner, and the list can go on and on. Not only did they all help to guide me as a young teacher, but they ensured that I knew the expectations of this school and my department. I was not just filling a vacancy, I was taking on a responsibility to preserve and build upon our legacy in the service of our students in this community. I have taken that responsibility seriously. It was here that I learned that the reason we read text is to be better able to read the world, and that as much as I teach poetry, literature, and writing, and wrestling, I work with students to help them learn how to learn, to develop a process to read thoughtfully, think critically, and speak eloquently in order to engage the world beyond the classroom with purpose. I have worked for these many years in the service of thousands of students and student athletes, and the work has been meaningful and deeply fulfilling. I hope that I have made a positive impact and that my work has honored those who were here before me. Speaking of which, as a young teacher, a name that would always come up among older teachers and coaches was the name Walt Clarkson, a graduate of Westfield High School who went on to have an impactful 31-year career as a beloved English and journalism teacher and coach, much like my esteemed colleague, Ms. McDonald. He is also a member of our Athletic Hall of Fame, and as it turns out, the first recipient of the Dr. Robert and Linda Foose Memorial Award for Excellence in Education back in 1985. A fact that makes receiving this particular award tonight feel even more like a greater honor. Walt Clarkson walked these halls, taught in these classrooms, and likely supervised students in this cafeteria. Although he retired in 1991, his intellectual pursuits and service to his students and student athletes still serve as a model of excellence in education to anyone who is fortunate enough to call Westfield High School home. I've spent my career admiring a man that I never had a chance to meet. He was described by a former student as fair, compassionate, honest, enthusiastic, and above all else, vitally involved in the educative process. He somehow transcended any attempts at beatification and remained stubbornly human. I find this to be a beautiful description of an influential teacher and a worthy aspiration. Walt Clarkson and many others, including my current students and colleagues, continue to inspire me to do the best work that I can every day that I entered this building. Thank you to the entire Westfield community, past and present, for giving me an opportunity to prepare Westfield students for their futures. I'm proud to be a part of a community that challenges, supports, and celebrates one another. So thank you once again for this award. It's very special. And I have to keep a promise. Good night, Harper.
Our next resolution by the Board of Education of Westfield, New Jersey to Gregory Bowers. Whereas the Westfield High School Jeffrey Family Above and Beyond Award has been established to annually recognize a teacher or counselor who has truly made a difference in the life of a student, either socially, emotionally, or academically. And whereas this award is presented to Gregory Bowers, a dedicated social studies teacher at Westfield High School, who is lauded as a kind, generous, and selfless human being who makes the classroom welcoming and fun, while making students feel like they have a safe place to go if they need to talk. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Education publicly congratulates Gregory Bowers for receiving the 2024 Jeffrey Family Above and Beyond Award, a significant honor and a notable accomplishment, and be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Gregory Bowers on May 21st, 2024, and that a copy of this formal resolution becomes a part of the permanent records of the Westfield, New Jersey Board of Education. I'd like to come up.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez and the board for having this special night. It's an honor to be recognized with my colleagues, John, Sean, and Craig, as well as all the other award recipients, so thank you very much for having us. I know Principal Svendis isn't here tonight, but I wanted to thank her, all the assistant principals, Mr. DeSarno, Dr. Hines, Ms. Hun, and my supervisor, Ms. Brennan. Their leadership and guidance has been beyond helpful to me the past several years. I obviously have to thank my parents, Peg and Vince Bowers, two retired educators who have helped me in so many ways, too numerous to mention right now, but I want to thank them for all their love and support. I wouldn't be here without what they've done for me. I'd like to thank my siblings as well, Ken, Helen, and Sarah. Happy birthday, Sarah. They also have always kind of kept me on track and always put me in the right direction. This night is quite amazing for so many reasons. One of the big ones is because I'm joined here with my wife and my daughter. Our littlest one, Jake, is at home. He's 2. He couldn't join us, but I feel so lucky that the two of them could join me tonight. Some of you might know my wife. She is a 5th grade teacher at Jefferson. Stacy, you are an amazing wife and partner. I don't have enough time to list all the ways that you make my life wonderful, but thank you for everything. You win our Above and Beyond award every single day. Emily, I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you. You win our filling the buckets award because you fill our buckets every day. Jakey, he's at home. He gets the Tom Turkey Award. There's a turkey near his daycare. They call him Tom. He shouts Tom Turkey sporadically throughout the day. It's really cute. You'd give it to him too if you knew him. All right. So there's another reason why it's really meaningful that Emily is here. She is forever linked to my memory of starting at Westfield High School. So it was only 7 quick years ago that Emily was born. My wife and I bought our house, and I got this job, all within about a month of each other. So I was going through all these big life changes, accomplishing all these big goals, and everything is kind of connected back to Emily in that time. So, I was thinking as I was preparing the speech, I read John's press release, and he talked about all the constants in his life, and that I thought was a good way to look at this time that I thought was, seemingly chaotic back then, what the constants were. So the first one, Stacy, obviously it's you and our family. You and the rest of our family and our friends helped simultaneously ground me, but also push me to reach new goals. Emily and Jake, you guys repeatedly show me the joy of life and learning and how that can be, that we can have fun on a daily basis. I'm forever thankful for that. So my entire family combined helped nurture my passions, help me discover new ways to better myself, but also support those around me. Thinking about the constants of my colleagues, right, how they've been a constant presence in my life. I was instantly reminded of a speech that one of our colleagues gave a few years ago. The high school has a wonderful tradition of asking a faculty member to give a speech each year at the beginning of the year, kind of kick off the year, and give us a little inspiration for the year. This teacher went through and just talked about all the things, big and small, that happen every single day in this school. From lessons of math teachers and English teachers bringing, mundane pieces to life, to those yearly events that we all look forward to, and to those little interactions that we see between colleagues, between teachers and students that happen that seemingly go unnoticed, but we do notice them. Right? So she chronicled all this impressive work that the staff does on a regular basis, and this is another reason why this is such a special night. John kind of mentioned it as well. This is a building full of amazing people doing extraordinary work on every single day. That is not lost to me, and it is a true honor to be recognized with this award. Finally, one of the other constants is the fantastic students that I get to work with every single day. I wish I had time to tell you about each single class and like how all the individuals make up, this dynamic classroom, and they each have their own character. But though they are the main reason that I come back year after year, it is a pleasure to work with such impressive young people. I look at my job as trying to help them discover their own worldview, their voice, and the skills that they'll need to, take on this complex world once they leave here. In the process, I try to help them sharpen their skills, and they certainly help me sharpen my skills as an educator, as a person. Each day we come together and work on being humans and just try to walk out that door a little bit better than we came in. And I feel really proud of the work that I do there. We all know the reputation that the Westfield High School has, and I work really hard to uphold that standard. As much as effort as I put into the academic side, I put as much energy into the personal side. So it meant the world to me here to hear Principal Esfendis read those remarks on the announcements a few weeks ago, to have Mr. DeSarno repeat them tonight when a student talked about how they felt in my classroom. I worked really hard for that, and I felt good to be validated for that. I also just want to thank everybody for the handshakes, the high fives, the emails, the cards, and the congratulations in the hallways over the past couple of weeks. That has meant the world to me as well. So I'm very humbled to receive this award, and I thank you all for doing that.
Next, a resolution by the Board of Education of Westfield, New Jersey to Sean McDonald. Whereas the Westfield High School PTSO Teacher of the Year Award has been established to annually recognize a teacher who is enthusiastic and motivating, encourages students to excel to their greatest potential, and is a good role model. And whereas this award is presented to Sean McDonald, a dedicated language arts and journalism teacher at Westfield High School, who is applauded for using her unique ability to make every student feel like her only student, and for finding the balance between not entirely telling you what to do and instead gently guiding you to conclude yourself. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Education publicly congratulates Sean McDonald for receiving the 2024 PTSO Teacher of the Year Award, a significant honor and a notable accomplishment, and be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Sean McDonald on May 21st, 2024, and that a copy of this formal resolution becomes a part of the permanent records of the Westfield, New Jersey Board of Education.
Hi. Thank you to all of you. I'm going to try to make it quick because, it's a long night for you guys. You guys have been here for a while. I am humbled and honored to win the PTSO Outstanding Teacher of the Year Award. But honestly, this award was kind of easy to win. Hear me out, okay? Every student I teach chooses to be in my class. They don't need it to graduate. They don't need it to get into college. They don't need it for any other reason than the fact that they want to be a part of this program. This is legit every teacher's dream. I'm not joking. And apparently it puts you in position to win Teacher of the Year, so yay me. When I walked into this building 6 years ago, I was pretty much in a straight up panic. Here I am taking over the New York Times of high school newspapers. Yeah, I taught a few journalism classes here and there, but running a historic weekly print newspaper that has been around since 1935, I wasn't entirely sure who let me be in charge of that. Thankfully, Dr. Hines, Dr. Jacobson, and of course, Dr. Nelson had faith in me even when I didn't. I had no reason to panic, though, because my staff was amazing. About a month in is when I realized that none of this is about me. This works because they make it work. They care. What we do with this journalism program is successful because the students want to do it. And trust me, they are amazing. I know as an advisor of a newspaper that I am supposed to remain unbiased in everything that I do and everything that I say, but seriously, they are amazing people, all of them. I mean, just today, I have to throw this in there because just today, High's Eye was awarded the best weekly print newspaper in the country by the American Scholastic Press Association. How fortuitous that I got that email today. So this program, and definitely this award, in all honesty, you guys, is not about me at all. And I wouldn't want it any other way. So basically, now that I've told you that I don't deserve this award and that it was easy to win, I figured I should thank some people that helped the program succeed and help it grow. Thank you to all of you and the administration for allowing me the freedom to do what I do. The freedom to oversee a program in which the students are in real-world situations every single day. The freedom to have unique and totally different lesson plans than any other classroom in the country. The freedom to be who I am, along with the chaos and the noise that I bring to room 111 and the front hallway every single day. I'm sure John can hear me down the hall. And obviously, thank you for the independence and the lack of censorship, especially considering how utterly terrifying that must be for you at times. Wait, next page. Thank you to all of the parents in our community who support their children in this passion. I understand that hearing your child say, "I want to be a journalist," might be a little scary for a lot of reasons, but thank you to all the parents in this community for supporting them and then ultimately supporting me. Thank you to my colleagues, my amazing colleagues who put up with me and support our program and do interviews all the time. So thank you for all of my colleagues who are always doing interviews for us. Thank you to the community for supporting our historic tradition and embracing all of our new ones. Thank you to my family who puts up with my never-ending deadlines and listens to all of my stories and my stress. Thank you to my parents who pick up the slack when I'm too busy with my other kids and who always encouraged me to follow my passions. But most importantly, thank you to my students for being amazing and intelligent and passionate and curious and dedicated and mature and hilarious, for understanding my sense of humor and understanding my love that sometimes shows up in direct and honest dialogue. And thank you for caring about a world that so desperately needs your passion. And thank you, Gianna, for rallying the troops and nominating me for this award. You are my rock, my food provider, and my right-hand woman in all of this chaos, and I know that you're gonna make a difference in the world. And I thank you for making a difference here at WHS and in my life. You too, Casey, you're awesome too. Although I make jokes, I am very grateful for this award. Honoring a journalism teacher shows that this community understands the importance of journalism and understands that our society doesn't function without the watchdogs and the unbiased and accurate representation of local, national, and global events that affect all of us. So thank you.
Our last resolution by the Board of Education of Westfield, New Jersey to Craig Stanton. Whereas the Westfield High School Distinguished Teacher of the Year Award has been established to annually recognize a teacher who, through both excellence in teaching and a demonstrated commitment to intellectual pursuits beyond the classroom, serves as a model and inspiration to the high school community to strive toward excellence. And whereas this award is presented to Craig Stanton, a dedicated music teacher and orchestra director at Westfield High School, who is praised for going above and beyond with helping his students remain active while providing opportunities to progress their skills, and who provides a positive and highly creative atmosphere in the classroom. Now therefore be it resolved that this Board of Education publicly congratulates Craig Stanton for receiving the 2024 Distinguished Teacher of the Year Award, a significant honor and a notable accomplishment, and be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Craig Stanton on May 21st, 2024, and that a copy of this formal resolution becomes a part of the permanent records of the Westfield, New Jersey Board of Education.
My speech is much shorter, which I guess we're all kind of thankful for at this point, but we don't write a lot of essays over in the music department, so mine is short. I do want to thank you all so much for all the nice things that were said tonight. Jim and Mary and the kids and everyone have sort of read off the wonderful things they said. And it's just thank you for organizing this event. Congratulations to my colleagues tonight on all of their recognitions. They've said it too, that we are lucky to have colleagues that do such an amazing job. And literally you could have just picked any teacher at the building, and I think you could have found someone who could have won this award. So when they announced this about 2 weeks or so ago, my first thought was, I have a concert in 2 weeks. I don't have time to write a speech. And then my second thought was, okay, I guess I have to think about this, and I have to reflect a little bit. And I've had a chance to sort of think about what this means. And I think it says more about the support system around us in this building and in the district than it has anything to do with myself. I joke, but it's not really a joke, that I think I have the easiest job in the building. Like I legitimately, I wave my arms until the music stops, they sound great, and then everyone claps for me. It's crazy. I have to, sometimes I have to pinch myself and go, someone pays me money, you guys do, pay me money to talk about music all day, which I would do for free. Not that I would, but I would. I'm extremely fortunate. I can walk into this building every day, and I know that there's an administration that supports us with most of the things we want to do in the music department. And that's how we are able to accomplish all of the wonderful things we do. I'm lucky to work with colleagues, many of whom I consider personal friends at this point, and are just, wonderful. And like I mentioned, there are just so many good things happening, and so many people working so hard every day in the building. I'm also fortunate to have students and parents and support system in the community who, if you were here on Saturday when they were out on the lawn, like hundreds of people strong for our music department. Just the incredible amount of support. Kids that come in every day and, like Sean said, want to be here, right? I'm an elective teacher too. They're there because they want to be. I tell them that. They're like, you don't have to take this class, but they're there anyway. And, we have 100 or so kids in the orchestra, and it's great. I one distinguished teacher, but I think we'd all agree that there's days when I walk home, and we probably all do, where we don't feel particularly distinguished as a teacher. And for that, I have my family, who I come home to every single day, and they're here tonight. Hi, guys. We'll get ice cream, I promise. We told them ice cream, but then it's going longer. I have them on those days when I don't feel particularly distinguished. They're here tonight, which is amazing, and they're literally the reason I get up in the morning to do this job. And then I feel like I've had time to think over the last 2 weeks, and I'm going last, and I've got to follow the people who teach poetry and English and journalism. And I'm just the music guy. And I was hoping that I could impart some sort of bestow upon you some sort of wisdom about the profession of teaching and how important it is, and some wonderful thing that makes me deserving of this sort of honorific. But the truth is, I'm here because everything else around me makes it possible. I'm riding the wave of all of the support around me, and I appreciate that. And with that, thank you, and thank you for this honor, and that's all I got, so thank you.
We'd like to invite all the recipients up for a group photo, then ice cream, I promise. So we are going to move to the rest of the business of the board meeting. As enthralling as that is, I am sure, for many of you, we'll give you just a few minutes and then we'll get started. Again. All right, let's reconvene if we can. I know there are some additional announcements. I guess we'll start. Mary, do you have any announcements? No. Ken.
All right, thank you. It's time to clear your schedule as the next regular public meeting of the Board of Education will be on Tuesday, June 11th, right here in Cafeteria B at Westfield High School, beginning at 7 p.m. We look forward to continuing our recognition of students and staff. The meeting will be live streamed via the district YouTube channel, which viewers can access on the board tab of the district website. The complete agenda will be available on Friday, June 7th, also on the board tab. Thank you.
Brendan?
This is a reminder that the Westfield Public School District will be closed this Friday, May 24th, through Tuesday, May 28th, in observance of Memorial Day, and for 2 unused snow days.
Kristen?
Westfield High School 12th graders Jacob Blaustein, Yenjae Hu, and Thaj Mehta are 2024 Merit Scholars. The 3 have been named winners of the 2024 National Merit $2,500 Scholarship. As part of the selection process, the National Merit Scholarship Corporation examines each finalist's academic record and the student's essay, along with demonstrated leadership and contributions to the school and community activities. Congratulations to Jacob, Yenjae, and Thaj on this prestigious recognition.
CJ?
97 students have been inducted into the National Honor Society for Spanish, French, Chinese, and Italian, with 51 excelling in Spanish, 21 in French, 13 in Chinese, and 12 in Italian. A list of the inductees can be found on the news section of the district and high school websites. Congratulations to all.
Julie?
I'm going to do Layla's as well, if that's all right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Registration is now open for fall 2024 athletics at Westfield High School, and information meetings are taking place throughout May. Visit the Westfield High School Athletics Department website for details. Twice a year, the Westfield High School Counseling Department sponsors the Lift While You Climb Award to recognize students who exemplify the qualities expressed by the late Westfield High School principal, Dr. Derek Nelson. Dr. Nelson, who died in 2019 from complications he suffered while donating bone marrow to a boy he didn't know in France, is quoted as one saying, quote, "We have an obligation to our fellow human beings that if we are in a position to help someone, you do it. You lift as you climb. If you can do that, you've contributed more to society than anything your bank account can produce, and ultimately contribute more to your own well-being." Nominated by the Westfield High School faculty and staff, the 5 recipients of the Spring 2024 Lift While You Climb Award are Jillian Almendral, Isabella DeMatos, Joshua Diaz, Garrett Gow, and Addie Mulholland. Congratulations.
Thank you. We'll move to some committee reports. We'll start with our report from Casey, the high school student report.
Students and staff have been taking part in traditional spring activities as we head into Memorial Day weekend. This month, almost 100 students were inducted into World Language Honor Societies, and over 200 students were inducted into the National Honor Society. Tomorrow, WHS seniors will be honored at Senior Awards Night. Recently, the Westfield Theater Department was honored with 21 Foxy Award nominations by Montclair State University, which are in recognition of outstanding achievement in high school theater. Last week, the 57th Annual Booster Banquet was held for senior athletes. During the banquet, 42 awards were given out, each including scholarship money for students. In addition to honoring individual athletes, this year's championship-winning teams were also recognized. Looking ahead, the senior class picnic will be held on Thursday, May 30th. During the picnic, students will receive their caps and gowns and celebrate the end of their high school career. The following Saturday, June 1st, will be the annual prom. The last major senior event, apart from graduation, will be the senior sunset. In the fall, WHS seniors woke up early one morning to watch the sun rise together at Keller Stadium, eating bagels, taking pictures, and marking the beginning of their last year in high school. Now, seniors will once again return to Keller to watch the sunset as they prepare to close out the year. Now that all major SGA events are officially in the rearview mirror, the focus has shifted towards preparing for next year. This week, students are hearing speeches from candidates for next year's board, with voting taking place tomorrow. Students will also vote on the SGA Constitution, which will govern the organization moving forward if passed. After a year full of hard work and dedication inside and outside of the classroom, students are excited to savor the special events taking place in Westfield High School over the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. We'll move to board committee reports. Is there any report by the Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment Committee?
No, we have not met since our last meeting. Our next meeting is June 10th.
Okay, next, a report from the Finance and Facilities Committee. Do we have one?
We also have no report. We haven't met since our last meeting.
And finally, a report from the Policy, Personnel, and Governments Committee.
We have no report either. We just met May 2nd, and our next meeting is June 12th.
Excellent. Very efficient. We will now move to recognize the public for public comment on on agenda action items only. These are the lettered and numbered items in the board agenda. During this portion of the meeting, district residents and staff are invited to address the Board of Education on agenda action items only. As a courtesy, allow current students and staff of Westfield Public Schools to speak first. The board requests that individuals sign in and state their name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable for the record, the specific action items they are commenting on, and then ask that all remarks be directed to the board president or designee, not to individual members or staff. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding personnel matters are discouraged and cannot be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. If a matter concerning a district staff member is of interest or concern to a resident, the matter should be referred to the responsible building principal, superintendent of schools, or the Board of Education, either by telephone, letter, or email. Although the board may not respond to items raised during the public forum, all public comments will be considered. Please note that if any member of the public becomes disruptive during the meeting, the board president may terminate the participant's statement. Continued disruptions may result in removal from the meeting or adjournment of the meeting. Each speaker's statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. Seeing no comment on agenda items, I will close public comment, move to the business portion of the meeting. First, may I have a motion to approve the May 7th, 2024 regular board meeting minutes? Brendan, is there a second? Kristen? We can do this by voice vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Next, the governance item, I will move that. Governance item A, I will move that for approval. Do I have a second? Second by Kent. Any discussion? Seeing none?
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Charles Jelinas,
Abstain.
Layla Morelli, Sonal Patel, Kristen Sonic-Schmeltz,
Yes.
Julie Steinberg. Abstain. And Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay, we'll now move to the personnel items on the agenda. Mary?
Yes, I just like to move items A through N under the personnel section of tonight's agenda. Just note item J, Mr. DeSarno's position has been renamed so that it's more inclusive of his job title. He's not only the Director of Athletics, but also Supervisor for Physical Education and Health. Is there a second? Kristen, thank you. Any discussion?
Seeing none?
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yep.
Charles Jelinas.
Yes.
Layla Morelli, Sonal Patel, Kristen Sonic-Schmeltz.
Yes.
Julie Steinberg.
Yes.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
That carries. We'll next move to the finance and facilities items on the agenda. Kent?
Thank you. I'd like to move items A through J under the finance and facilities portion of the agenda. But first, there are no donations tonight, but I do still want to highlight that this school year, donations have totaled $82,668.82. May I have a second? Thank you, CJ. Comments, questions? All right, I think we're ready.
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Charles Jelinas,
Yes.
Layla Morelli, Sonal Patel, Kristen Sonic Schmeltz,
Yes.
Julie Steinberg,
Yes.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay, next we'll handle the policy items on the agenda. Back to Mary.
Okay, I'd like to move items A and B under the policy section of tonight's agenda. Item A is the SIP committee is recommending 5 policies, and the PPG committee is recommending 1 policy for second reading based on Strauss-Esme updates. Policy 8110 is being revised to give the district greater discretion in permitting students who move within the district the capacity to continue their education at their current school. Item B, Policy 5755, Equity in Educational Programs and Services, is being recommended to be repealed by the SIP committee based on the Strauss-Esme update. Policy Guide 5755 has been abolished as all of the information within that is addressed elsewhere in Strauss-Esme policies and regulations. Policy Guides 1523 and 2260 address all the requirements outlined in 5755 and address the district as a whole, which includes students, eliminating the need for that policy. Strauss-Esme recommends abolishing the policy because the information within it is redundant. That was a lot. Can I have a second? Oh, Kristen. Any discussion? Okay.
Seeing none?
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Charles Jelinas,
No to A5, yes to all others.
Layla Morelli, Sonal Patel, Kristen Sonic Schmeltz,
Yes.
Julie Steinberg,
Yes.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
Okay, next the curriculum, instruction, and assessment items. Kristen?
I make a motion for the board to consider action items A through C under SIP today. A, ask the board to approve a field trip. B, ask the board to approve a student intern in the Special Services Department. And C, ask the board to approve the 24-25 Memorandum of Understanding between the University of Delaware and WHS. Can I get a second? Second. Kent, thank you. Any questions? Okay, we can vote.
Seeing none?
Rob Bonaccio,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Charles Jelinas,
Yes.
Layla Morelli, Sonal Patel, Kristen Sonic Schmeltz,
Yes.
Julie Steinberg,
Yes.
Mary Wickens.
Yes.
I'll now highlight for the board and the public the notes for the record. Then move any unfinished business. Any new business? Any liaison reports? All right. We'll now move to recognize the public for comments on any items. So during this portion of the meeting, members of the public are invited to address the Board of Education on any topic. As a courtesy, allow current students and staff of Westfield Public Schools to speak first. The board requests that individuals sign in and state their name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable for the record, and asks that all remarks be directed to the board president or designee, not to individual board members or staff. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding personnel matters are discouraged and cannot be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. If a matter concerning a district staff member is of interest or concern to a resident, the matter should be referred to the responsible building principal, superintendent of schools, or the Board of Education, either by telephone, letter, or email. Although the board may not respond to items raised during the public forum, all public comments will be considered. Please note that if any member of the public becomes disruptive during the meeting, the board president may terminate the participant's statement. Continued disruptions may result in removal from the meeting or adjournment of the meeting. Each speaker's statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. All right, seeing no members of the public, I will close public comment, and I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Mary, have a second? Second, Julie. Thanks very much. We are adjourned. Oh, wait, I got to vote. Yeah, let me do that. I rushed. All right, let's do it. Sorry about that. I was getting excited. All in favor, please. All right, any opposed? And any abstentions? Thank you very much. Now we're adjourned.